I'm going to make this short and sweet today. Why? Because it's Friday. You trying to get your weekend started, and you got shit to do. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 223rd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Number of items to knock down today on the show. And we're going to get right to the proceedings this evening. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it's Friday. Don't want to hold you here longer than I need to. I know you want to get your weekend started because I definitely am ready to get my weekend started. I am starving, and we're going to be talking about some leftovers. I really want to eat. So let's get to our Gem Droppin Session, shall we? Absolutely. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-double-E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. Jon Gruden to pursue litigation against the National Football League and Roger Goodell. I knew this was coming. Jon was not going to go quietly, nor should he. Now, what he said was reprehensible. However, I mean, it's the type of stuff you talk about and you say when you're talking to your buddies. They're just old, so they decided to do it through email. They could have called each other. They could have texted each other. Instead, he decided to leave a paper trail. At that time, Gruden wasn't working for the NFL, so he didn't give a shit. And so it ended up coming back to bite him in the ass. That's not the problem. That's not what's on trial here, okay? Gruden did and said what he said, okay? It is what it is. That's not what he's upset about. And we talked about this when he first announced his resignation from the Raiders. I'm making up words tonight. Is resignment a word? I don't think that's a word. When he first resigned from the Vegas Raiders, we talked about the fact that there were over 650,000 emails that were compiled during the Washington football team investigation. 650,000. Yowza. And yet he was the only one in that entire investigation, out of all those copious amounts of emails, he was the only one that the NFL decided they were going to leak to the media. And don't think, because guess what? Whatever the NFL doesn't want out, it won't get out. So trust me, this was a leak job, and it was a hit job. You don't think Goodell read what was said about him and he said, oh, this mother effer here, he thinks he can call me a pussy? Really? And get away with it? I'll show him. Okay. So Raj got his henchmen on the job, started sliding these emails to, some of the writers and editors at the New York Post, couple of sources, and New York Times, and voila, that man is out before you could blink. Raj is petty. We all know this to be a fact. Roger Goodell, of all the commissioners, MLB, NBA, of the major three sports, he's the most pettiest of them all. And there was no way he was going to, he could care less about Jon Gruden calling people faggots and this and that and the third. They could care less about any of that. He didn't care about any of the racial epithets that were said or any of the stereotypes that he spit out of his mouth. He didn't care anything about that. That was just icing on the cake. That was literally his name being mentioned and all the names he was called and how he was cast in a derogatory light. That was literally the fuse. Okay, that's what got this thing started for Roger. Okay, all right. He done made me mad now. Okay. And all the extra stuff, that was ancillary to Roger, which was actually the headline. Nobody cared about what he said about Roger Goodell. It was like, oh yeah, some of that stuff is true. We don't care about that. what everyone wasn't going to let slide was him talking about people, DeMar Smith's lips and this, that, and the third, and talking about female officials and this, that, and the third, and how the league was trying to diversify. That shit wasn't going to slide. Not in today's culture, not in today's environment. That wasn't going to slide. That was the shit that was going to get him in trouble. And that's what lit the fuse. But Raj didn't care nothing about that. That was what was going to get the attention of everybody else. His thing was, you ain't gonna talk about me and think you gonna get away with it. I got all the power. I got all the juice. Okay? I got all the juice. And when I feel like squeezing, I get all the juice I need. And anybody that thinks they can play me, they'll find out what happens when I start to squeeze. That pressure was applied and Gruden had to bounce. And now he's like, yo, I know I'm not the only one. There's nothing worse than the person that you're with. Say it's three of y'all. Y'all go into the store and y'all decide, I don't have any money, so I'm going to get the 5-finger discount. And you go in there, you pick up a couple of packs of Mambas. You grab your a bag of Skittles and a Starburst to go. And you're heading out the door. And the clerk just happens to see your homeboy, who was real sloppy with a bag of Sun Chips hanging out the side of his coat. Gets hemmed up. And as you guys start to make the getaway, he gets yoked up. And y'all start hiding behind vehicles. Can't make it quite around the corner. And he said, hey, y'all, come on out. They got us. No. They don't got us. They got you. They don't got us. But John is like, whoa, wait a minute. How y'all get me and nobody else? I know in those over 650,000 emails, somebody else said some crazy off the wall Mike Jack shit. I'm not the only one. So I know this is a targeted hit. Y'all wanted me out. I don't know why. You know why. Okay, Raj, he sent the henchman. Raj put out the hit. He put 50 thou on your head. Now you gone. Bow. But John's like, I'm not going out like no punk. Y'all gonna pay me. And this ain't even about the money. John's got plenty of that. From ESPN, from his former coaching days, from this deal with the Raiders. He got plenty of bread. He don't need any more money. This is about the principle of the matter. He said, oh, Raj, you want to be petty? Guess what? I see your pettiness and I raise you some pettiness. We can do this the hard way, or we can do this the easy way. You can settle out of court, or we can drag this thing through the mud. And Roger's like, I got bigger guns than you, man. I got more lawyers than you do. My coin stretches farther than yours. You don't want to do this, John. And John's like, yeah, I do want to do this. Trust me, I got enough bread to make this thing work. You ain't dealing with a peon out on the streets. I got enough bread. If you want to stretch this thing out, I got enough to stretch it out. We'll see where this goes. I surmise that this thing doesn't make it to court. Okay? I don't think this makes it to court unless John is really trying to prove a point. And he might be. He might be. But I knew this was coming. I'm not going to get what I want ultimately out of this, so I really don't care. Because I don't have a dog in the fight here. I don't care for Roger Goodell, and I don't have any feelings towards Jon Gruden. I'm indifferent, so it really don't matter who wins in this struggle for power here. This finger pointing session. The only thing that I wanted out of this entire ordeal, Jon Gruden was never the target. Okay, he was collateral damage. I feel bad for him. I do, but I don't. This was all in the name of getting rid of Daniel Snyder's ass. He's so messy that even when he still doesn't get touched, other people still get dirty. I feel bad for Jon because a wise man once told me, don't jump in front of bullets that weren't meant for you. And Jon ended up jumping in front of some shots that weren't for him. These were not let off in his direction, but he decided to jump in and take the shots. If we can't get rid of Daniel Snyder, which I've already given up hope on, then I don't really care about the outcome of this. There's nothing here that's going to make me smile other than Daniel Snyder being pushed out as owner of the Washington football team. And clearly that is not going to happen. So I digress. Let's transition to Thursday night leftovers. And what a juicy game it was last night. I enjoyed it. You know, only 32 combined points scored by the two teams. Generally, those games don't excite most of you, but it excited me. I love defensive games, not games where two teams struggle offensively and it's because of a lack of execution. Last night, the Dolphins were playing some damn defense. Now, they were playing a, no risk it, no biscuit type of defense. They were playing the old Bruce Arians style of defense. Todd Bowles and Greg Williams would have been proud of the performance that the Dolphins put on last night. I mean, literally, they just kept coming after the Baltimore Ravens. They tackled well, they executed, they did everything that a team that you wouldn't expect at 2-7 to be doing to do. But they did it. And it netted them a win, and we're going to talk about it in a segment I like to call Thursday Night Leftovers. You know how this works. Go ahead, head to the kitchen, grab whatever you need to grab. I had a salad last night. I've still got more left. I'm going to eat some more of it after I'm done with this podcast. It was a delicious salad. I can't wait to eat more of it. So I'm going to pull out my leftovers and we're going to go right after it. All right. So, leftover bite number uno. Dolphins, dominant defensive performance. Try and say that fast 3 times. Dolphins' dominant defensive performance ended the Ravens' streak of 45 straight games with 14 points or more scored. That's impressive. Since the Lamar Jackson era started in Baltimore, this has been a tough offense to hold down. And 14 points, while it doesn't seem like a lot, because it's not, it's so hard in today's NFL to hold an opponent the caliber of the Ravens to under 14 points. And you say, well, 14 is not a lot, but you'd be surprised at how many teams haven't scored 14 in a game. They only scored 10, or they only scored 13 that week. They only scored 9 because they kicked 3 field goals. They only scored 11. You'd be amazed at how many teams failed to hit that 14-point threshold in that Ravens 45-game streak of not scoring less than 14 points. I'd venture to say that in that same time frame, there are only maybe 3 or 4 teams that can join the Ravens in that conversation of saying, hey, in those last 45 games in which you scored 14 or more, we were right there with you. Everybody else in the league has either been shut out, scored 10, scored 6, scored 11, scored 13. A lot of teams have scored 13. That's the number. That's the magic number that's going to get a lot of people zapped from the list. Well, now the Ravens no longer can say, hey, I've scored more than 14 points, 45 games straight. Because the Dolphins defense was that dominant last night that this Ravens offense that had been scoring points, and Lamar Jackson, as I mentioned, and I still feel like he's in the MVP discussion, was shut down last night by a Dolphins defense that was aggressive and would not quit. We're going to talk more about that here in the leftovers. But the Dolphins' performance put to bed and came to a screeching halt, a Ravens streak that was impressive with Lamar Jackson under center. 45 consecutive games of 14 points or more. That is now done. Next leftover. Got a little crouton action in that one. Love the croutons. For the second time in 49 games, the Ravens failed to eclipse 100 yards rushing. And remember, we had a conversation about much to do about nothing with the Ravens when they beat the Broncos back in like week 4. And they got the football back at the very end with like 9 seconds left. And they could have just taken a knee. The game was over. The Broncos had lost already. But the Ravens decided, oh, we're only 4 yards short of 100, which will tie the Steelers' record for the most 100-yard games in a row. So the Ravens took Lamar Jackson, went student body left, and got 6, and he got down. Pissed off Vic Fangio, needless to say, but it kept the streak intact, and it also showed that John Harbaugh, which a lot of coaches don't, knew about the streak. Somebody came to him and said something, obviously. Hey, coach, you only need 4 yards to keep your 100-yard streak alive. So that's why he did what he did. It would be broken 2 weeks later against the Colts. Matter of fact, the next week versus the Colts in week 5, it would be broken. As the Ravens would fall down early in that game, and Lamar Jackson would have to throw it a career high 43 times, completing 37 of them in the highest completion percentage in a game where a quarterback has thrown it over 40 times and had over 400 yards passing. It was a ridiculous performance by Lamar Jackson. They came back and won that game, but it came at the expense of their rush yards. This game wasn't that. Okay, they weren't trailing this entire game by an inordinate amount that forced them to take to the air to come back and have a chance. This game was 6-3 for 3 whole quarters, essentially. All right, so the run game was as prevalent as it could have been from start to finish. They just couldn't run the football. They didn't have any success. Credit the Dolphins defense, but for the second time this season and the second time in 49 games, the Ravens don't eclipse 100 yards rushing in a football game. And that is a bitter pill to swallow because that is what they do. That is what they do best. Next leftover. That one had heavy guac on that forkful right there. Dolphins used cover 0 blitz. For those of you unaware of what that means, no safety over the top. Everyone is either at the line of scrimmage or locked up in man-to-man coverage across the board. There is no safety help whatsoever. The Dolphins blitzed cover 0 on 40 of the 70 defensive snaps. Oh my goodness. Let me say that again for those of you in the back that have a tough time comprehending the words that are coming out of my mouth. The Dolphins used cover 0 blitz 40 out of the 70 snaps defensively in the ball game. Are you kidding me? I mean, what are we talking about? That's got to be like damn near 60%, maybe 65% of the snaps. Zoinks! Scoob! I mean, I told you guys last night on overtime that I'd never seen that many cover zero blitzes in my life. Like watching a game, it reminded me of the Super Bowl. But even what the Bucs did to Patrick Mahomes it paled in comparison to this because they weren't blitzing cover zero. There was still a safety back deep. They just kept coming after Kansas City because they know they couldn't protect. This was just blatant. What the Dolphins essentially did was say, we dare you, we double dog dare you to make us stop doing this. And the Ravens, they couldn't. For whatever reason, I'm still baffled as to how you can allow a team to do what the Dolphins did and get away with it. I mean, literally, that is criminal. And Brian Flores and his defensive coordinator, they should be arrested because that's assault, felonious assault in the state of Florida, which is where that game took place. Shame on the Ravens, though, and I said this last night. I'm not going to beat this horse. It's dead. Shame on the Ravens for not being able to make the Dolphins pay for being over-aggressive last night. That, to me, was where the game was won by the Dolphins and lost by the Ravens. Their inability to handle the pressure, to make the Dolphins pay for being over-aggressive. The Dolphins had to have seen something. Trust me, if they were playing against Josh Allen, they wouldn't have done that. If they were playing against Tom Brady, they wouldn't have done that. If they were playing against Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, they wouldn't have done that repeatedly. So what that tells me is that they didn't respect the Ravens offense. Whether that's Lamar Jackson or his receivers or both, they totally showed a lack of respect for their offense, and the Ravens did nothing to make them pay for it. Yikes. Next leftover. Now that one was too much of the spinach. Too much spinach, not enough of the toppings. For the 7th time in 9 games, Lamar Jackson leads the Ravens in rushing this season. Now, while that might not sound like a big deal, and more likely than not, if we go back to past seasons, it's probably not. He probably led their team in rushing on a number of occasions. I think it's more glaring this year because there is no J.K. Dobbins. There is no Gus Edwards. There is no Mark Ingram. He wasn't leading the team in rushing almost every week in past years. I think it's even more of an emphasis this year because he doesn't have the type of help he's had in past years at the running back position. It's literally all on his legs and shoulders this season. And that's part of the reason why I think he's in the MVP discussion because he's not getting any help in that backfield, really. And I like Devontae Freeman. I think of the guys that they have back there, he's the one that gives him the most juice, but he's still Devontae Freeman at this point of his career. So there's only so much you're going to get out of him. But at the end of the day, no one's afraid of Latavius Murray. No one's afraid of Le'Veon Bell. And again, while Devontae Freeman gives them a little bit of juice, it's not enough juice. It's not the juice he would have been getting from J.K. Dobbins or from Gus Edwards. So they're really hurting at the running back position. It's putting more pressure on Lamar Jackson. And for the 7th time this season, he's led his team in rushing. To me, that is a recipe that I won't say for disaster because obviously they're 6-3 with that recipe. But I think it's a recipe that sets them up for failure. That's what I think. Because at some point, you're not going to be able to run it. And it's going to put Lamar in a tough spot. And you're asking him to do too much. Throw it, run it, pick up first downs, everything. He's got to do everything. It's just a lot. Finally, last Thursday night leftover. This one boggles the mind. I love this stat because I love these two players. And I talked about them briefly last night, and I thought it was only fitting to talk about them again today. Dolphins rookie safety tandem of Brandon Jones and Javon Holland blitzed a combined 37 times between the two in the game on Thursday night. I'm going to say that again because, again, that is a ridiculous stat, okay? So Next Gen Stats has been keeping track of secondary member blitzes per contest, individual games. And Javon Holland's 20 blitzes sets a new record for the most times a secondary member has blitzed in one individual contest. StatGen has been keeping stats since 2016, so it's not a massive sample size, but I'd venture to say that you could go back another 40 years. You won't find anyone blitzing their safety 20 times in one game. Jamal Adams might come close, but even Jamal Adams isn't blitzing 20 times in one game. Maybe 15, not 20. His teammate Brandon Jones, he blitzed 17 times in the game. Okay, like this is what I'm talking about. The lack of respect for the Ravens offense was absolutely ridiculous. And Holland was outstanding. So was Brandon Jones. Both of these safeties have played really well this year. I'm jealous because they've got two stud rookie safeties, and I just want one for my favorite team. And so these guys are out there running around, making plays, blitzing after the quarterback. That must be a lot of fun. When you say, I don't have to worry about too much coverage tonight, I just get to go after the quarterback. And a lot of them were free hits, free hitters. They got 6, you got 7, they got 6 to protect. One guy's going to come scot-free and force Lamar to get rid of it quickly. That's fun. That's a lot of fun. Anyway, I digress. 37 times between the two safeties. Zoinks! Scoob! Wowzers! Unbelievable. Anyway, let's transition to our final segment of the show. And of course, that coin sound you hear is me losing money this year. At some point, I got to get back on track. Or maybe I don't. That's what I tell myself so I can sleep well at night. At some point, I'm going to get back on track. But that sound you just heard means it's my week 10 money picks of the week. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get these picks. Boy, I need a winner, and I need one in the worst way right after a long day. I need it bad this week. For the first time, and there's been a lot of firsts this year, for the first time in my prognosticating career. Last week was a first. Okay, never had, 11 losses in 1 week, which was outlandish for me. This week, another first that I really don't want to talk about, but I have to. This is my therapy. I have to do this. For the first time in my history, I went back-to-back losing weeks. I've never done that before. Never done it before, but I did it. And I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm mortified. And as the weeks pass, the doubt begins to creep in, and I'm fighting it off because I'm the constant optimist. And I tell myself, ain't nobody better than you at this. You'll figure your way out of this. Everybody goes through these little ruts. Patrick Mahomes is telling himself, ain't nobody better than you at this football thing. You'll figure it out. But I know he sits down and he's like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is not what I do. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, what the hell is going on? This is not what I do. I don't know. Stop asking. I don't know why. What I do know is I'm off to a bad start this week. But that shit don't matter because I won Thursday night last week. Still lost 9 games. So what difference does it make? Anyway, I had the Ravens last night, as just about everybody else did. I'll take that L. Don't feel bad about it. But it's the rest of these games that I got to get a dub. I got to get some dubs. I got to start stacking these up, like bricks, man. So let's get to the proceedings this evening because the kid needs it bad. And I need at least 10. The good guy needs 10 this week. Struggling over here, man. Struggling. All right. Here we go. Buffalo at the Jets. Buffalo at the Jets. Doom. This one is easy, or at least it seems. I mean, hell, I thought yesterday's game was easy. And again, I've already told you guys, don't listen to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. I'm not in the zone. Don't listen to me. That said, this one isn't hard to decipher. The Bills are pissed. Okay, they got embarrassed last week, losing to Jacksonville and only scoring 6 points. Like, what in the hell happened to them to where they could only muster 6 points? They're still trying to figure that out. Someone is going to have to get this ass whooping, okay? That was what you call a UO last week, an unexpected outcome. Now what we're going to get this week is an EA, not EA Sports, but rather an expected ass whooping. That's right. The Jets are going to get their brains bashed in. And you know what? What's going to be interesting is who they start at quarterback. Zach Wilson is healthy this week. So is Mike. What the hell is his name? Mike White. I think they're going to do the right thing here and start Zach Wilson. It doesn't matter who starts. The Bills are pissed. Somebody's got to pay. The Bills are going to win, and they're going to win this one going away. Give me the the Buffalo Bills to get my week started. Drop some coins on it. All right. So, Tampa Bay at Washington. I won't get into the specifics of this one, but you already know. You already know what I'm going to do here. Okay. The Bucs, just like the Bills, they're pissed. And unlike the Bills, who got to get the loss out of their system 7 days later, the Bucs had to sit and stew on a bye week with their loss. Just let it marinate. The funky stench of an L. Woo-wee. Tom Brady was not happy this past week on his bye week. Somebody's got to pay. And that somebody is the Washington football team. I'm not excited about it, but I know what time it is. It's time for me to drop some coins on the Buccaneers getting a win and getting back in the win column. Give me the Bucs on the road versus the Washington football team. Drop some coins on it. Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. So last week, one of the biggest upsets of the week was the Denver Broncos going to Dallas and destroying the Cowboys. No one saw it coming. I listened to Amari Cooper this past week talk about why the Broncos got away with some of the coverages that they got away with. And Amari Cooper pretty much said, look, I'm not making any excuses, but actually you were. He said, look, we were on the field, we played, but I could barely run. And CeeDee Lamb injured his ankle in practice during the week. He could barely run. And they decided to come and play man across the board against us. And we couldn't run. And so we dare anybody else to try that shit. No, try that shit on the train. Try it again. I dare you. I double dog dare you to do that again. Dudes were open too. So essentially he said, look, we couldn't run. And they took advantage of it. It happens. I'm like, bro, if you felt that way, why you play? I ain't trying to hear the shit. Bottom line is, the Falcons, they won last week. They bounced back after having an ugly performance against the Panthers the week previous. But they've won. 3 out of their last 4 have the Atlanta Falcons. They're playing exceptional football. It's not enough to beat Dallas. I'm sorry. They're not going to beat the Cowboys. Dallas is going to bounce back this week, get the win. Give me the Dallas Cowboys. Drop some coins on it. Next game up on the docket, the New Orleans Saints at the Tennessee Titans. I've really thought about going Saints here, but then I had to wake myself. I said, this is why your ass is 10 games, behind the leaderboard. You know what I mean? This is why your ass is struggling right now, because you want to do stupid shit and you want to try to rationalize it and justify it. The Saints are not winning this game, okay? And I had already made up my mind before finding out Alvin Kamara was not playing in this game. And I already made up my mind that they weren't going to win because I don't trust their quarterback situation. And this is the type of game that the Titans lose. Just when you think it's safe to start talking about Super Bowl and, oh my God, look at the Titans, this is when they drop the fattest, nastiest egg. And then you say, what in the hell was that? This is the week they do that. Except the Saints aren't in a position to force them to make the kind of mistakes that it's going to take to lose this game. The defense is good enough. I don't think the offense is good enough to take advantage. I'm going to be pissed off if the Saints go in there and win because I know the Titans. I know the Titans. I know the Titans. And this is the kind of game that they lose. But I can't rock with them. I can't mess with them, the Saints. I rolled the dice on the Saints last week. They let me down. I'm not messing with these boys this week. Give me the Tennessee Titans. Drop some coins on them. All right. Next game up on the docket, Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Keep this one short and sweet. This is AFC South family business. You know how the family do it. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And I don't like to stick my nose in business that does not pertain to me. So I try to stay as far away and I just peek with binoculars. Hey, what's going on over there in the AFC South? And I said, man, look out for these Indianapolis Colts. They playing some quality ball. Jacksonville's like, hey, don't forget about us. We just beat Buffalo. I'm like, sit down and shut up. Okay. That was lucky. You won't do it again. I know you won't do it again. Trust me. I know. Give me the Indianapolis Colts to get it done. Drop some coins on it. They're playing some quality ball, and it continues against the Jaguars at home. Next up, Detroit Lions at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The only winless team in the league are the Detroit Lions. And I don't see them, snapping out of their, 0-8 start to the season this week. All the bye week jokes were prevalent last week. Saw all of them. Chuckled at a few, but the bye week joke is old now. Got to come up with something different, right? They're not winning this game, even though the Steelers are offensively challenged enough to give the Lions a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance? No, I'm not, because that Steelers defense is dominant enough to get Jared Goff to throw it out of bounds on 4th and 11 2 or 3 times, force him to fumble once, and also throw a pick. Give me the Steelers to dominate defensively this Detroit Lions football team. Drop some coins on it. So, our next game, Cleveland at New England. I thought long and hard about this one, and I said, New England, hey? They've been playing some really good football lately, and I've told you the conversation I had with Boss. And he was like, yo, I'm telling you the Patriots, they're coming on strong, but they're still a year away. What if that year is actually this year? I don't know. We'll see. And then I look at the Browns and I'm like, that was pretty damn impressive what you did last week. But that wasn't Bill Belichick's defense. And I'm like, the last time Bill Belichick got a piece of Baker Mayfield, it wasn't pretty. I said, I don't think that the Browns are ready for this Patriots defense. I don't think the Patriots offense is all that great. But I think that defense is more than capable of shutting down Baker Mayfield and that Browns offense. And I feel even better about this pick now than when I made it. Now that I know that one Nicholas Chubb will not be participating in Sunday's contest, it will be D'Ernest Johnson for the second time this season getting the start. He can run the hell out of the football too. I would have felt a lot less confident if you would have told me Nicholas Chubb was out there toting the rock. Now that I know it's Dearness Johnson, I feel even better. Give me the Patriots at home and drop some coins on it. Next game. This is where, if I'm going to make some headway, this is when you make headway right here. Games like this. And this is why these games haven't gone in my favor this year, and that's fine. But in order to come back, you can't go status quo. You got to go outside the lines certain places, but you have to be calculated in your decision making. And and when I do these things, there has to be rationale as to why. So here we go. Minnesota at the Chargers. You already know what I'm doing because I just had to go through this long spiel defending and justifying what I was about to do. So you know what I'm about to do. Here's my rationale. The Chargers, while they're a good football team, they can't stop the run. The Eagles, who didn't run the football this year on anybody because they just don't want to run, decided that they were going to run the football damn near 40 times against the Chargers last week. Why? Because they said the Chargers can't stop the run and everybody else is doing it, so we should do it. And they did it and did it well, and it almost led them to a victory. This week, the Chargers will have to face Dalvin Cook and that very dangerous Vikings offensive attack. The last time the Chargers saw a team that could do the things that the Vikings can do offensively, they gave up 42 points. They won because the Browns couldn't get stops and had like 6 defensive breakdowns where guys were running wide open down the field. So they scored 49 and won. However, they gave up 42 points, okay? And Nick Chubb went bananas. I think Dalvin Cook's going to do the exact same thing. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a field day off of play action fake. Justin Jefferson's going to get loose at least once. Adam Thielen's going to have a couple of touchdown grabs. I told you the Vikings are capable of beating anyone and they're capable of losing to anyone. Well, they've done enough losing to anyone this season, okay? They've lost a ton of games that they could have easily have won. Here's one where they're going to be in the game just like against Carolina, and they're going to win. Give me the Vikings on the road to upset the Los Angeles Chargers. Drop some coins on it. Carolina at Arizona. This game only has significance on the schedule because of one Cameron Newton being back in Carolina and his return to the football field for the Panthers. Now, here's the thing. Right now, Philip Walker Jr. is going to get the start in Carolina for the Panthers. However, Matt Rule said, hey, don't rule out Cameron Newton getting some snaps in that football game. Right now, he only knows 10 to 12 plays, but he's looked good. He's in tremendous shape. And I wouldn't be shocked if Philip Walker Jr. struggles in the first half, that they don't go to Cameron Newton for the second half of that game. This game is interesting, okay? Because Kyler Murray, he did practice today, but he didn't play last week, and that ankle is still not 100%. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't practiced all week. He's not 100%. Guess what? They could be without those same 2 guys just like they were last week. And this is not the 49ers defense. This is the Panthers defense, a much better defense. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. I said all of that to say, give me the Arizona Cardinals at home. I'm not making the same mistake I made last week. Give me the Cardinals, drop some coins on it. Next game on the docket, Philadelphia Eagles at the Denver Broncos. This was the game I spent the most time on because I really feel like this game could go either way. I really, truly do. The Denver Broncos, despite what they did last week, I'm not sold on the Broncos, okay? And they're one of those teams where they could look great one week and look absolutely horrid the next week. And I got a feeling this is that game. You know, like they're going to lay a fat, nasty egg. And I seriously don't want to pick them. I really don't. But I don't trust the Eagles. I don't trust the Eagles. Their defense is getting progressively worse as the weeks pass. The only team that their defense has looked remotely good against this season are among the worst in the league. The Detroit Lions and the Falcons in week 1 when the Falcons were struggling. Okay, when they still were trying to figure out Arthur Smith's offense and how all the pieces were going to fit and life without Julio, they were still trying to figure out so many moving parts, and they dominated them. All right, but outside of that game, week 1, and the game against Detroit, and I guess you could say the San Francisco 49ers game, but we know their offense isn't all that great. They've struggled defensively against just about everyone else. They've allowed some big days. Dallas put 40 on their head. The Chargers, Justin Herbert had 4 incompletions, I think, in the game against the Eagles defense. It threw for 340, okay? I mean, it was a joke. He got whatever he wanted against them. Their defense is a train wreck in Philadelphia right now. And I really think Denver can do the things that they need to do to matriculate the ball down the field. Teddy Bridgewater can protect the football. If they can get pressure on him, I think they can win. But I don't trust the Eagles. Give me the Broncos. I may regret this, but give me the Broncos at the crib. Drop some coins on it. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Seattle at Green Bay. Man, seems like it's been forever, but we get Russell Wilson back. Dangerous Russell Wilson. He's been gone for a month, and we get the baddest of bad man back in the saddle in Aaron Rodgers. He's pissed. He's had to deal with a lot of scrutiny, something he doesn't like to deal with. So he's not happy right now, and he's going to take it out on somebody, and this Seattle Seahawks defense looks like a mark right now. This should be fun, though. I think you're going to see 2 quarterbacks dueling it out, and it's just good to have these guys back on the field, Cam Newton, right? Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, the gang's all back together. It feels good. It feels good. Yeah, it feels good. However, all of this singing and carrying on doesn't mean Seattle's going to win the game, okay? Just means it's good to see Russell Wilson, but I'm not taking Russell Wilson against the bad man at the crib. Give me the Green Bay Packers at home. Drop some coins on it. And finally, we get to Sunday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders. Family business of the AFC West variety. If these 2 teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. You know how the family do it. Well, actually, no, I don't. This is AFC West family business, and I have no knowledge of this family business. So again, I try not to stick my nose where it doesn't belong. And I got a big nostril. I got a big snossage. So it's hard for me to stay out of people's affairs. However, I'm keeping my distance on this one, okay? And you know what I've learned watching this AFC West tomfoolery from a distance? Is that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of the Chiefs. I stuck my neck out on the line because I feel like there's this connection between me and Patrick Mahomes right now and this Chiefs football team. Like, we've got the championship pedigree and we're struggling. And you keep waiting for Mahomes and this offense to snap out of it, right? And I keep waiting for me to just snap out of this funk that I'm in. And every week that passes, the funk gets worse and worse. And every week I watch this Chiefs offense, they get worse and worse. And last week against the Packers, they mustered a whole 13 points without Aaron Rodgers in the lineup. It was terrible. And I'm sick of sticking my neck out for these boys. They've gotten me got too many times this season. They won't get me again. The Raiders looked pathetic last week, but they had a stressful, very emotionally taxing week with the Henry Ruggs the third situation. And then they had to get on a plane and fly all the way to the East Coast. It was a double whammy. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Stop. Well, guess what? This week they get to sleep in their own beds and they get a do-over. It's not often in this league you get a mulligan. Last year we got this exact same game. Chiefs go over to Vegas on a Sunday night and the Raiders had the Chiefs and let them off the hook. But that was featuring Patrick Mahomes, the old version that was unstoppable. This version can't bust a grape. And I think the Raiders, who went to Arrowhead last year and scored 40 and beat them, say, look, we ain't afraid of y'all. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. They looking at Patrick Mahomes and like, hey, you're not Patrick Mahomes. You're a ghost of Patrick Mahomes. And the Raiders are like, we ain't afraid of no ghosts. I don't know where the real Patrick is, but I can tell you right now, you're not getting the Patrick price this week. Going with the Raiders and Derek Carr to bounce back from the ugly showing against the Giants last week. Drop some coins on it. And that, my friends, wraps up my Week 10 picks. I can give you my pick for Monday night while we're here. It doesn't matter. Not going to change. Give me the Rams on Monday night. We may get the full all-star studded crew. Maybe minus Odell Beckham Jr. Shame on you if you step to the old dirty backup. But we should get Von Miller. Should be a lot of fun. We'll see what happens on Monday. Hopefully I'll do a Monday podcast. If not, you know who I'm picking. I got the Rams. So those are my money picks of the week. Please. I feel like the kid on Little Giants. You know, Cowboys, win, win, win. Giants, help us, God. I feel like that kid. Like, here are my picks. Help me, God. I need some help. Anyway, got some super chats. I'm going to knock these out and we'll get out of here. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Fat American, writes, thoughts on QBs coming up in the draft. Been hearing about this Kenny Pickett kid. Have no idea if he's got the stuff. Hope they don't force it, man. You'll start to hear me talk about these quarterbacks next week. I'm going to start doing a deep dive next week. But Kenny Pickett did just play on Thursday night versus Sam Howell and the North Carolina Tar Heels. It was the Pitt Panthers and the North Carolina Tar Heels on Thursday night on ESPN last night. And I have it on record, so I'm going to take a look at that this weekend and see. I heard both quarterbacks played well, but it was more of a showcase for Sam Howell than it was for Kenny Pickett. So we shall see. Again, one game doesn't define any of these quarterbacks. So I will keep you posted on that, Fat American. Thank you for the super chat. Kyle, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Kyle writes, get that money. Here's some internet money. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for that internet money. And I need to get this money. I need all the help I can get, Kyle. So thank you for your blessings. And you know what? For that, you get a skull. Thank you. Nick Caps, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Nick Caps, writes, you already know. You already know. He said, LOL. Washington football team 20, Tampa Bay 17. Field goal wins it. I can't go against my team. First of all, you like Tom Brady said in the Super Bowl against the Giants the first time, you really only think we're going to score 14 points? In this case, you only really think Tampa Bay's going to score 17 points? Are you crazy, Nick? Nick, you at least could have made the score higher, Nick. They're not just going to score 17, okay? Stop it, Nick. Bless your heart, too. Bless your heart. Jake Willis. What you talking about, Willis? Thank you for the super chat, Jake. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Louie, I've been taking all your picks to the bookie. Need you to bounce back. Oh, I hope you haven't been doing that. I know you're joking, but I hope you haven't been doing that, because if you have, your bookie's coming back with 2 arm breakers looking for his money. Okay, It has been the absolute worst this season. And if you've been taking my picks to your bookie, you owe him a hell of a lot of money. And he's got a couple of his best arm breakers accompanying him to find you. Okay, some of his finest arm breakers are in attendance. But seriously, congratulations on the series. Braves brought it home. Thank you, Jake. I really appreciate that. And as you see, I'm going to continue to wear my Braves hats, keep switching it up on y'all because, 2021 MLB World Series champions right here. The A. For the A. That's right. Thank you, Jake Willis. Greatly appreciate you. And finally, Vincent Coe. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Vincent Coe, writes, would you prefer Prime AD or Henry with great O-line? I think I would take Prime AD. I mean, he was a freak of nature. I mean, Henry is something else too. Don't get me wrong, but Henry can't do what Prime AD could do, right? Henry isn't making anybody miss. Henry is the get downhill, and once he gets going, good luck stopping him type of guy, right? But if you get to him before he starts, he can't get it going. You know, he's got a ridiculous stiff arm, one of the nastiest stiff arms. Like, I think LT was, one of the dudes with one of the most ferocious stiff arms. I would put Henry right up there. Might even supersede him in terms of how vicious that stiff arm has become. It's a real tool and weapon for him. But Prime AD was able to make 2-3 dudes miss in the backfield. Come to a complete stop, break a dude off, and then reaccelerate. Like he did against the Browns. I'll never forget that run. I always bring it up. Where he literally takes a guy, hip tosses him into the water cooler, comes to a complete stop, hip tosses the dude into the water cooler, and then reaccelerates and runs away from the Browns defense for like a 67-yard touchdown. It's ridiculous. What he could do with the football was insane, and he didn't have to have great blocking to do it. Whereas, Derrick Henry needs to get going. He needs a runway. That's what we like to call it in the trade. He needs a runway to get going. But once he gets going and he takes off, forget about it. Whereas AD, he didn't need a runway. He can make his own way. So I take Prime AD over Derrick Henry. But Henry is something else. That is for sure. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 223rd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. Really appreciate each and every single one of you for joining me on the show today. Hope you enjoy your weekend because I am definitely going to enjoy mine. We'll come back and do this all over again on Monday, hopefully. If not, definitely Tuesday. You know what it is. In any event, get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you guys enjoy your weekend. Have a great evening.
LouieTeeNetwork.